Welcome to the next episode of the Founder Singleton. It's been a couple of weeks. We got a lot to catch up on, so let me fill you in on what's going on. First off, I wanted to give a shout out to my brother-in-law Dane, who gave me great constructive feedback about the audio on my last video. I've gone ahead and procured a new microphone. Hopefully it sucks less. Yeah, we'll see what's going on there. But I also earned my first dollar, which was a pretty big deal for me. That was my goal for the month of August, was to earn $1. This was from a dear friend, Gary, who doesn't actually know what my product is, to be quite honest, but he heard about my goal and he went ahead and contributed to my bank account for the first time in a little bit. But still, even if he doesn't know what it is, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to write documentation on how to get started and make sure that anybody can use my product. And I'm going to hang it up in honor of the support that everyone has given me on my journey here. So what would somebody actually pay for if they're trying to pay me money for this product? Well, the short answer is they can't pay me money quite yet. I'm still working on some paperwork. I did change my name formally, or company name formally, to CodeGroove. So I got to wait for all that to get in before I can, get in all the financial IDs and bank accounts and all that other stuff. So yeah, I did a soft launch this last couple of weeks of something called the Review Goose. So you might be wondering what the hell this is. Basically, it's a menu bar for GitHub users, who are doing a lot of code reviews through the day, both incoming code reviews and then sending code out for review. And really, the main thing is that, when you've got incoming code to review, it honks at you and it puts a little duck or a goose in your menu bar. If you've got PRs that you've sent out that are now ready to merge, it'll highlight it differently with a little party popper. So that's effectively what it does. Anyone can run it. You don't have to beg for authentication or anything. It just uses the GitHub command line for authentication. The plan is that this will be free for public repos, open source projects. It'll be free forever for them, but you're going to have to pay me for access to private repos. So still working on how to make that happen, but here you can actually see it live. So that's kind of the Review Goose. On the back end, it's using same data that we've already demoed here for the ready to review dashboard. So enough of that. So what else has been going on? I guess one of the big things is, for the first time, the developer acceleration platform, which I'm going to call Groove Hub for now, because it is the one for GitHub, it actually worked. It actually did all of the things that I wanted it to do, and that is intelligently picking a code reviewer. Awesome, it did that. You can see this is the actual PR that it worked on for the first time. You can see my bot requested a review from me, and I got, the Goose gave me the little honk. I saw it. I clicked clicked on the review for it. I merged it, and the Goose disappeared. So kind of that meeting of man and machine, it actually worked. The bot looked at who had modified the code base recently for these particular files, and it assigned properly. So that was really awesome to actually see my things work together. On my way to building this out, it's been fun. I got majorly nerd sniped twice in the last couple of weeks. The first nerd snipe I will cover really quickly because it is definitely something that I did not need to work on at all. I was just talking to some people about SOC 2 compliance, and I tried to do that as a single person company is really interesting. It's very unusual, but There are ways to do it. There really, one of the things people don't understand about SOC 2 is there's really no hard requirement. Everything is kind of optional. So, but I really want to make my SOC 2 report look absolutely amazing and have all of the protections you can imagine, not just for the fact of checking a box, but I actually want to make sure that I don't suffer a code breach. There was another GitHub tool recently that suffered that there were some pretty significant security flaws in the design, and they leaked a bunch of secret tokens. I don't want to be that guy. So this is the first Nerd Snipe. This was Git MDM. I wanted to design an MDM that would, mobile device manager. I wanted to design an MDM that if the server was compromised, that my devices would not be compromised. And this is one of the pet peeves I've had. And the other pet peeve that kind of inspired this is I've got an OpenBSD laptop, and I couldn't run it an OpenBSD before at my last company because it couldn't connect to our MDM solution anyways. So I was like, that's retarded. That's a security system or operating system designed for security up front. Why can't it be compliant? So I made one, and we'll see if this endpoint actually works. I haven't accessed it for a little while, so yeah. So basically, I can see the status of my various machines for compliance. Not everything works right now, but most things work. That's a Lima. Let's see, for this device that I'm actually on right now. There we go. So it last updated a couple hours ago, and I think I've installed this software update. But anyways, so that was one Nerd Snipe that I did not, need to go on. But probably the other fun Nerd Snipe here was something called Guts. And this was, I blame Joseph Baronis for this Nerd Snipe. I needed a way to detect which time zone people were in for review assignments. And I started looking into it, and, on GitHub, you can actually specify which time zone you're in and your location, but not everybody does that. And in order to get those code reviews, my goal is code reviews should not take more than 3 hours. In order to land that, I have to be able to assign reviewers who both know the code and are likely to be active at the same time, which can be different than just straight time zone analysis. So I built something. So here's an example of a GitHub user, hey Dan, that does not have any location or time zone information, but I plug it into the time zone detective, and it figures out that based on their GitHub activity, they are UTC-4. It basically trawls through all sorts of stuff, like when you added SSH keys, opened issues, added pullover review comments. It'll also trawl social media and things like that, but we can show an example of that. But basically, it's doing this activity analysis. This is a really interesting security application that when I was writing Guts, the first time I thought about this problem space was when the xutils attack came out, and I had read somebody doing a bunch of deep diving into trying to figure out the identity of this person, and he mentioned that his best guess based on the time zone analysis was that the user was in Kaliningrad or somewhere in Eastern Europe. And so I attempted to automate that kind of analysis work. So this has been a really fun tool to work on. We'll do someone else here so you can actually see an uncached person. So this person does show in their profile that they are in UTC-4, they're in Raleigh. You can see, their info here. So, hey, Steve. Yeah, so that was one thing that kind of a Nerd Snipe, but is actually, I really wanted to make sure I got this right. I am on my way to going to market at this point. That's like my big goal for September, is to find some design partners who will help me with that. And part of the demo that I want to be able to give them is where, uncoordinated between two people, there are code reviews happening in under a minute. So I need to make sure that, the person gets notified, that it's the right person who gets notified, even if they aren't like selected as a reviewer. And I need to make sure that all that is happening as quickly as I can get the webhooks to fire. So I also have to work on Slack support, but yeah, going to market, getting your first customers. I know this is the hardest part. I'm completely clueless about how to go about doing so. So I read a bunch of books, and I also met with a bunch of awesome folks, like Theo and Jax, who I used to work with, to get advice on going to market and early sales. They gave me some great tips on my early game here. And I think the biggest tip, and why I'm recording this video, to be quite honest, is to be visible. The worst failure I can imagine is where I've built this amazing product that does all the things I want and nobody knows about it. There's actually some competitors in this space that you've never heard of, and I'm better than them, but also, I will be better than them, I guess. But also, I plan to be more noticeable. So on the book front, there's a couple of books I've read, and one of them was in kind of covering this part of where I am in my journey. I read The Purple Cow, which was a great book talking about how to make sure whatever you design is, for lack of a better word, noticeable. Maybe that you have something that causes people to add comment. It doesn't have to be a good comment, but it has to be exceptional enough. It can't just be very good, but it has to be exceptional and noteworthy. So that was one of the things that I got out of that. And I think about, like Idira's t-shirt design is a great example of this. It's, got this axolotl that says, fuck luck. And it's exceptional. Like, there is no doubt about it. It gets your attention. People want to talk about it, and you should build things that do that. And so, picking the Goose as the sound for the Goose, the whole Goose app, I wasn't sure how to make that interesting. And then I thought about like being attacked by geese. So that's kind of where that comes from. I also read a book called The Mom Test, which I think the title is bad, but it talks a lot about giving, about how to conduct sales calls in a way that is actually productive, especially for an early startup, how to listen for the subtle cues about how folks perceive your product. It turns out everybody wants to be nice to you, especially as an early founder. And what I need is honest feedback and not the nice feedback. And the gist of it is that, any complimentary feedback should be eyed with great suspicion, unless their feedback also includes, hey, where do I sign up? Like, I want to get up and running with this. So another book I read that was really great was Founding Sales. And I honestly had no idea how analytically driven a sales org was until I read this book. And the proliferation of tools I knew about, but not just how powerful they were. Being an SRE and security, which are also very analytically driven, they've got nothing on sales tools. Maybe they're all crap. I don't know. I haven't used them, and I don't plan to use them for any time soon. But it was really fantastic to see how to be a founder-led sales person, how to be successful at it, and when and how to scale up. So yeah, that was really great to read those books. I felt like I understood a little bit more of what I'm up against here. So yeah, with that covered, what is next for CodeGroove and myself in the startup land? Well, I'm going to be attending my first conference just as an attendee in a few weeks, besides RDU, and I want to get a t-shirt printed for that. I might be copying Idira a little too hard here, but my plan right now is to use a goose attacking a sloth as kind of the central part of my image there for the t-shirt. Whether it's going to be like a nice colored shirt like this or a t-shirt, I don't know yet. But Otherwise, on the product front, I mentioned I have Slack support to add. Not everybody wants to install a local Mac OS or Linux app. At a larger company, you just want something that you deploy once, and you don't have to worry about micromanaging everybody's machine. So I got that going, and then trying to get that beautiful demo of a review happening in under a minute. Like, that's what I want as part of my sales call. I want somebody to open a review or PR for me, and I want to get instantly notified once it passes tests. Get notified at the right time, and I want to be able to just click that magic merge button. That's it. So yeah, I will try to call in a little sooner than the delay this time. But till then, see y'all later. Take care.